part of what we're going to flow into tonight is like, how else, what else is possible? Thank you. Right. And I know we talked about this in the cosmic series, like what else is possible outside of what you've known? And I'll be honest, consciously, I can't remember if they described or talked about this last month, but I want to just repeat it. If it's repeated, just know it's important, and that's why we're repeating it. And if it wasn't, then it's an important thing for us to understand. So one of the things that I keep being shown is this vision that collectively we're in a cross. We're in a cross path, like what's like left or right. And it's interesting because they're not saying left is good and they're not saying the right is good. And some of you might look at things in our reality and feel that duality very clearly, or feel the weight of the duality. But in many ways and in many different forms, we are leaning in either direction. It's the best way I could explain it. They were showing me, it's like there is a majority of people leaning to the left and there's a majority of people leaning to the right. And it's not necessarily the concepts and ideas that we think about. What that means and what they're referring to is that there is a portion of our collective leaning to the left, like it's about to get worse, it's about to get bad, things are just going the wrong direction, and so on and so on. A lot of narratives that are very weight inflicting emotionally, mentally, and energetically. And there is a portion of our collective that is leaning to the right, that is very hopeful, very expansive, very, they're saying lucrative, which I love that word, right? Lucrative, right? It's like lucrative represents that evergreen of abundance in all areas of our life. So there is a portion of people leaning in that direction, and I'm getting emotional. And what I'm being shown, and what I've been shown for a while, is that there is this collective reset that's happening. And it was interesting in how they said it tonight, because and I'm feeling very passionate, which I know, but I'm feeling so much energy that I'm feeling so passionate and excited about what I'm communicating. And the reason they're audibly encouraging me to identify that is because I want you to lean in with what resonates, like truly lean in tonight with what resonates, whether you're live or on replay. Because there is this bigger reset that apparently we're going to step into. And I haven't heard that until tonight's meditation. And in tonight's meditation, I was shown a collective of beautiful divine manifestations. And the best way that I can explain it is that there were these gorgeous cosmic orbs of light. And they had reflections of angelic, and they had reflections of, they're saying orientation is unconditional love. Like they were full of unconditional love. And I felt this coming together, this harmony that's coming together in realms among realms among realms. That outside of what we're seeing in this physicality, for some of us, if we're seeing the left more than the right, the left being more of the weight, the right being more of the lucrative, that there is more that's taking place outside most of our consciousness that's coming together, realms among realms among realms. And what they were saying, thank you, going back, they're telling me to describe more of what I was seeing in the room. And what I'm also seeing is going to be joining each of you, like each of you, wherever you're at, whether you're in the car, whether you're at home, whether you're at a friend's, wherever you're at, you right now are being surrounded by love. And as we're sharing guidance tonight, I want you to really just decide that you want to receive. And I feel like I know they say this a lot, but I need people to understand that there's so much that gets delivered during our time together that goes outside my words and my languaging. And most of you have experienced what I'm talking about. Like you understand, there's a knowing where you understand what I'm referring to. We've had so many people talk about things they feel in their bodies. We've had people talk about shifts and healings that have taken place. Like there's so much that we are able to celebrate, that we hear from you guys. So what I'm sharing and what I'm inviting is that in this moment, take a moment to say yes and welcome being being blessed and that you're saying yes to receiving. And that this beautiful realm of love, it's offering its support. It's offering its support outside of what you think you know, even if you think you know a lot, that there's so much more. And the one thing they kept repeating is this collective reset is happening. And we've talked about that, but one of the things that they audibly said, I'm going to go back into the notes here, is that they said there's going to be a bigger reset. It's coming soon. And it's not the reset of what we think, like, oh my gosh, more of what has been. And like, it's just, it felt different. Exactly how different and how it's going to look, I haven't been shown, because it was something that was just given to me right now, like another reset. But outside of that, today I felt this this collective new beginning, and I felt like this new, like this they're calling it overpowering sense of a new, like something over the horizon, like something unlike what we've been told, they just said, and unlike of what we've known. But it feels really exciting and positive and uplifting. And they've actually, several coaching calls today, people were really encouraged to embody a new wave of themselves, like a new wave. They're being a new wave that's moving out into their tomorrow, that is different than who they were yesterday. Even if their yesterday was so magical and delicious and perfect in every way possible, but there's a new wave, another level, thank you, another level of themselves being woken up. And I'm getting really dizzy. But part of what we need to do, what's required, is for us to be willing to let go even more. And when I mean let go, and in one of my calls tonight or today, they referred it as like this idea that we're driving down the road, and there's this path, this road we're driving on, right? We could call it the road of life. And they were showing me there's many different lanes in the vision. And it's like the outcome and the path is right there. Like we're going to hit the diamond. We're going to hit the arrival. Sorry, we're going to hit the arrival. And we can travel in different lanes. Like we can go on the fast lane, we can go in the middle lane, we can go on the slow lane, but we have a choice to jump from lanes. And what's happening is that some of us, I'm going to say collectively, especially, so if this resonates, lean in. There is a lot of us that are leaning into the lane that has felt comfortable for a while. The lane that we know, right? The conformity, and I'm not going to say, they're saying compliance, meaning compliance to what we've known. It feels comfortable. Thank you. And they're showing me, it's like people are driving down the lane and it's like, yeah, this is who I am. This feels good. Yep, that happened yesterday. That happened last week. Familiar. Yep, it feels good. But what happens is like we're going down this lane and we're inviting more. We're craving more. We know we've been made for more. We're being pulled to be more of our true essence and selves. But what happens is that we start going into the other lane because spirit, source is kind of like an universe, higher self, whatever you feel comfortable, is nudging us like the wind, right? The wind, sometimes when you're driving, you feel it comes in strongly and you kind of feel the movement. And they're showing me, it's like, you're being kind of like, boop, like move to the left a little bit or move to the right. But what happens, this comes off like this side, like in the cars nowadays, they go beep, 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 you're going over the lane. Beep, 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 you're going over the lane. Beep, 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 you're going over the lane. And they were saying that we've been trained to believe that when the beep, 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 beep goes off, we go back into our lane, right? We go back. And I know there's many different ways that lane and the idea of lanes are used. And so this is outside what you think, with the lanes. This is a different metaphor with a different intention. And they're showing us like the beep, 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 beep. It's not necessarily spirit and soul saying, get back in the lane, go back. That's not spirit or your higher self speaking. That's more of the human mind, right? The human intellect trying to stay in what it knows versus exploring more of what's possible. And because we've been trained, right? Like the car, if it beep, beep, beeps, you go back into the lane. We've been trained to listen for the fears that are telling us to stay here, to stay here, to stay here. but we also feel this greatness, this pull, this higher self pulling us into more of the experience that we've been designed to welcome. So the beep, beep, beep that is happening or is being triggered is not because you're going the wrong way, is because you're about to break limits to what you have seen and known before. And what is happening right now collectively is that we are going into conforming what feels comfortable based on what we've known. This is not anything with anything that's happening. This is very, very outside of what we're talking about here, what's seen in the collective. This is about personal growth, personal expansion, and personal commitment. Personal commitment to step outside the lines that your human mind has constructed, the subconscious has built, the walls, thank you, the walls that the subconscious has built because it thinks this is the way to keep you safe. The walls that it has filled with doubts and fears and insecurities because the fear that something didn't work in the past, or the fear that what if it doesn't work out, or what if it's not the right thing? What if I make a mistake? And it's keeping us in that. It's funny, they're showing me another vision. So it's like keeping us, when we go bowling, when the kids, they put the bumpers on the side. So it's like the bumpers goes left and right, and it keeps the ball from going into the gutter. And it's not the best vision, but that's how they want me to say. And it's like symbolically that when the bumpers aren't there, the ball goes in the gutter, right? So it goes down and it goes around, but they're showing me it goes into that unknown, right? Into that void of possibilities, right? Which I know it's not the best, but they're literally giving me that vision. And then it's kind of like that idea that we get to come back and give it another try, right? And explore the possibilities of hitting all the pins and knocking all the pins and knocking the ball out of the ballpark, to get that home run that you've been craving, that you've been desiring, that's really calling you as much as you're calling it. And what was the other thing you guys were saying? 1 second, guys. I'm having a conversation with you guys as you're talking, because you're giving me something else and it's a little confusing. Got it. So my invitation for you this month, and as you're talking to possibilities within yourself, within source, with loved ones, with coaches, with whatever it is you're doing, is that I want to encourage you to say yes to what's waiting for you on the other lane.